Yo, what up, dogs? Last week I went and saw Equalizer 3 on Thursday at 7 p.m. in IMAX. I went to the theater in the west end of town, and just a small update on the concession stand situation that's been plaguing that location for weeks now. We officially have combos back once again. They've restocked the shelves. We are able to enjoy concessions once again in the West End Theater. However, I did not get anything because I don't know. I just wasn't in the mood. You ever have those times when you go to the movie, you're just like, I don't feel like it? Maybe it was because I paid for the IMAX ticket. I'm like, I don't feel like spending any more money today. I don't know. But I just wasn't in the mood. And so I didn't even bring a tea with me. You know what I'm saying? So when I got into the theater, to my surprise, there was like 70 people in there. I was really surprised at how full the theater was for this movie. I wasn't expecting a big turnout for this film just because the last couple of movies I've gone to see, there hasn't been a big turnout for them, you know? So I would like to also point out with this, the audience that was in attendance, the age range was definitely 40 plus. There might have been a couple 30 plus in there, but it was an old crowd. And they and I myself, we all enjoyed this film from beginning to end. The action sequences are tight, gruesome. To some points, there are gruesome. There was a couple people in the audience that went like, "Ooh, oh my!" Like, you know what I'm saying? Denzel, you're going crazy with this. And the jokes that happened were humorous, and the people around me laughed. Nothing really didn't land because the jokes in this style are more of like everyone's in on how badass Robert McCall is. So the jokes that come out are like, we all know you're going to die or get your ass handed to you, and it's funny to us because we understand the danger these villains have put themselves in. And there was genuine laughter around me, which was fun as well. So let's get into this movie. Let's break it down. I got some notes here as always. So let's just jump right into it. Like I said, this movie is an R-rated film. It runs for an hour and 49 minutes. It's a good length. I think there's like 4 or 5 minutes. I'm being picky right here that they could have taken out. No problem. I bring this up because there are sequences in this film where they already present information more than once right after each other. And there's a scene in particular where the mafia family is together discussing the plans, and then it cuts to another scene of the same mafia family discussing the plans, but now on a boat. And I'm sitting there going, we don't need this. And they do it multiple times in this film, so I think we could have cut 5 minutes out of this. But it's still a very tight runtime, and it moves nice and smooth. You know what I'm saying? It's not really too much wasted space and air, but there is some scenes, like I said, that are you're just gonna go, why do we got that twice? You know what I'm saying? So the movie is made for, according to Google, I had to do some research here, $70 million to make this film, okay? And on its opening box office week, it made, from the notes, it says 34 to $42 million domestic. And international, it made 26 million. So that is a rough total of $68 million in its opening week or opening weekend. And that's pretty damn good, right? It made its initial budget back. Now it has to make some more money to make back the marketing aspect of it and the money that goes to the theaters as well before we can actually say it's a profitable film. But it definitely looks like it's on track to become a profitable film, and we still don't even have to factor in the physical media side of things and or the digital side of things when that happens too. So this movie is definitely going to be in the black, and that's a good thing, because I want a fourth one. And we'll go into that in a little later as well. So, the director, Antoine Fuqua, returns once again. He's directed Equalizer 1 and Equalizer 2 and Training Day as well. And I want to just take a note here that I have watched every iteration of Equalizer except for the original TV show. That's my dad's era of Equalizer. But I've watched Equalizer 1, Equalizer 2, Equalizer 3, and I also have watched the Queen Latifah version of Equalizer on TV. I used to watch that with my dad when he was around, alive. And my dad would always record it, and we would watch it. It was just like kind of like one of our rituals, we'd hang out. And every time, I always made a joke whenever it was time for Queen Latifah to go out and do her thing. I was like, "Oh, it's time to equalize." And I would always say it, or that person's been equalized. Little catchphrases, just something to make my dad laugh. Anyways, so I'm very familiar with this franchise, and I'm glad that Antoine Fuqua returned, and he brings it in this one, man. He definitely brings it. It's a return to form for Equalizer for me, because I really like Equalizer 1. Equalizer 2 is okay. I don't like the third act in the final fight. Personally, I don't like it. And there's some things in that movie I don't like story-wise. And the third one is like, breath of fresh air in this franchise. Once again, I enjoyed every minute of this. Now, as we know, the return of Robert McCall is back with Denzel Washington at the helm once again. And we start this movie off with Robert McCall in a villa, an unknown villa. I can't remember the location of the villa. And he is surrounded by guards. Now, a stranger drives in with a boy, and he tells the boy to sit back and relax, like don't worry. But as the stranger surveys his villa, he's realizing that everyone who he employs is dead. And he walks through the whole thing. You see bodies everywhere. It's really a gruesome sight. And he gets confronted with Robert McCall, and they have a confrontation, a little discussion. And he's like, "I'm going to kill you all in the classic 9 seconds. You got 9 seconds." You know what I'm saying? And so he does this thing, kills everybody, blam, blam, blam. And he leaves and is confronted by the boy. And now Robert's not going to kill the boy. He doesn't do that. That's not part of the Equalizer mythos. So he lets the boy go. He's like, "Go away. Nothing's going to happen to you." So when he turns his back, though, the boy shoots him in the back with a rifle. And it's a .22 caliber bullet. I don't know what any of that means, but the bullet does not kill him. It wounds him critically, a really critical wound, and causes him to bleed a lot. So he escapes in his car, gets on a ferry. He does a lot while he's under duress. And then he gets back in his car. He's in a small town that we don't know about yet, and he's crashed off to the side, where he gets picked up, though, by a police officer named Gio Bonucci, who's played by Ngio Mastrandrea. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. And he is a cop to the local village, and he's rescued Robert McCall, and he takes him to his the family friend and or doctor of the village named Enzio Arizio, who is played by Remo Girone. I hope I pronounced that name correctly as well. And he is pretty much the village doctor. We learn a little bit about him. He's an old man. He's been around a long time, and he's a part of the village. He's a big community guy, right? So he takes the time to dress the wound, remove the bullet, and bring Robert McCall back to health, right? So when Robert comes back to life, he's like, "What's going on? Where am I? Blah, blah, blah." There's a little bit of confrontation between him and Enzio. They have some words, but everything is cool. And he is allowed to sleep and rest and nurse. And he eventually comes through where he's able to walk once again. And he needs a cane, though. That's a key point. He needs a cane. So he starts to travel and become one with the village. The village is a little town called Atrane. It's in Italy, and that's where he is hiding out right now. And there's no real threat coming after him, no big bad guys. Like, everything that he's already dealt with is dealt with, and there's no one coming after him, and no one knows where he is, right? So he is becoming one with the city, one with the inhabitants. He meets people. He meets the barista, or the person who runs the fishery, the person who runs the cafe. He gets more involved with the doctor who healed him. He learns more about the police officer that saved him. And in general, we start to we take time here, and Fuqua really takes his time to let us take a minute to appreciate our surroundings, the beauty of it. There's a lot of beautiful shots in here. And we also get to take the time of developing a relationship between the village, the villagers, Robert McCall's relationships, and us as the audience is involved too now. Like, we are loving this whole community. So when stuff hits the fan, we are emotionally invested as well, which does happen because we are introduced to the first villain, who is Marco Quarantia, and he's played by Dodero. And he is like a low-level thug who is terrorizing the town. He goes around to the fish market and he's like, you owe me money, and he beats the crap out of the guy, and he gets his money, you know what I'm saying? And he's just that guy, he's that money guy that's like, you pay us for protection, and when you don't pay, you get the fist, you know what I'm saying? And he is an underling to his bigger brother, who is Vincent Quarantia, who's played by Andrea Scarduzio, and he is the leader of a crime organization called the Camorra Mafia, right? And he's the head top guy, right? So we learn about these characters, and as Robert McCall is healing and getting stronger, he is seeing the interaction between Marco and the villagers, and he doesn't like it. Because the motto of the Equalizer is bad things happen to good people, the Equalizer comes. You know what I'm saying? And it just happens the Equalizer is there. And he believes in fate and the purpose of maybe God bringing him to a place that he needs to be. In this instance, there's a lot of conversation going on with McCall and why he is here. You know what I'm saying? So we learn more about the actual plot of the villain. The villain, okay, there's two things going on. There's two plots going on here. So the main villain is Vincent. And his whole thing is, we need to drive these villagers out of the town of Atrane. And when we do that, we can now put in casinos, hotels, and make it a tour destination that he controls. He wants to do that so he can make more money. And what he's been doing to fund such things ties back to the villa at the beginning. And the villa is a winery that is smuggling cocaine, like really synthetic drugs through wine. And McCall brings this up to a character, Emma Collins, who is a desk clerk, so to speak, at the CIA. She's a desk agent. She's not in the field yet. And he brings this up to her saying, hey, there's more than meets the eye at this villa. You need to go and check it out. Trust me, it's worth your interest. And so, I can't remember the mysterious mob boss is there. I took him out, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, what? Oh, I don't believe you. But she investigates it anyways, and now she becomes a field agent. And she works with a dude named... Did I say Emma Collins is played by Dakota Fanning? Just want to double check that. Dakota Fanning. And then she works with a dude named Frank Conroy, who's played by David... is it Denon? Who's like her CIA boss. Like, he tells her what to do. This is her first field expedition. And there is a weird scene in this movie with these two. Like, the first interaction that they have talking, they both kind of just stand there and do their dialogue with their hands in their pockets. And it's very boxy and not cool. It's just like, I would have redone that and maybe add a little more life into your arms and what to do with your hands. I don't know. Maybe I would have said something there. But it's a weird scene. You'll know it. And you'll be like, yeah, that is weird. Why are they just talking like... hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. Like, it's weird. They don't say, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. But you know what I mean. So, now those two field agents are out there figuring out this side of the equation, so to speak, of the drug side and who that's funding. And while that's happening, the mobster side of things is raising terror in that little town. So, eventually, things happen. And Emma shows up at the village and confronts Robert. Now, here's the thing about Robert, this character, is he's a ghost. And the only way he wants you to be able to find him is when he wants you to find him. So the fact that she was able to find him isn't an accident. He did it on purpose, and he explains it all to her too. It's a really good sequence, actually, a really good dialogue sequence between the two characters at the cafe, and I liked it a lot, and there's a good joke in there too. So he's already planning everything. Like, he's already got everything figured out, man. This guy's playing 4D chess while everyone else is playing checkers still, right? And so she's going to be snooping around a little bit, trying to figure out who he is, but he's a ghost, right? And the one thing too you got to know about this movie is we are dealing with Robert McCall, who is injured, and he's recovering from injury. So in the theme and spirit of this movie, the village itself is kind of like a healing training ground for him because there's a church at the top of the stairs, and it's a very big mountain he's got to go up to. And eventually he climbs those stairs flawlessly, and that means he is ready to equalize. You know what I'm saying? And we get that sequence. It's a very Rocky kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? When he finally defeats the stairs, he's ready to box. It's the same thing for Robert McCall. So when he finally gets up to those steps, he is now ready to do the equalization. And he's had enough because Marco's been a little biatch. You know what I'm saying? He's terrorized Gio. He's beaten him up. He threatened Gio's family, and he burned down the fish market. Like, Marco's been a little bit of a something. You know what I'm saying? And then there's a beautiful scene where they're all sitting at a restaurant, okay? Beautiful scene. And, you know, Robert's there, the families are there. Like, everyone's there. It's a place everyone goes. And then Marco shows up to cause some stuff. And this is where Robert becomes the equalizer. And from that moment on, when that scene hits, it's hold on to your seats because everyone's dying. Like, get ready for it. Everyone is dying. I mean, everyone. I don't want to spoil it. It's a great sequence of events where he kills everybody, and then we get a stoppage, right? Because Vincent finds out. And the head of police finds out too, which is an interesting scene there as well. Like, people are like, someone's killing your crew all of a sudden, and the police don't know what to do about it. They're kind of thinking this is their time to fight back against the mafia. And Vincent's just like, well, bring it on. You know, I'm still going to do my thing. It sucks that I lost my baby brother, but we know business as usual, right? And Emma, she's still piecing it all together, and she figures her section out. She almost dies, by the way, but Robert saves her with a phone call. It's really cool. And then Robert goes on Terminator Equalizer mode and destroys Vincent and his entire organization. And it's beautiful to watch. It is scary. It's awesome. I can't even describe how awesome it is because it's not John Wick in the flashy sense. It's very methodical, almost to a spooky, I wouldn't say horror because there's some good gore in this too, but like, it's spooky at his assassination skills because, like, Denzel's not ripped. He's 60 and he looks 60. You know what I'm saying? Like, he looks like an older man doing this, but he is such a savage when he does it, and it's great. It's great. And, like, don't expect, like, you know, John Wick combat, blah, 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 and then kill. It's more like, boom, bang, you're dead. It's so good. And how he terrorizes Vincent at the end is just so, it's satisfying. Like, when you see everyone die, it's actually quite satisfying because we're, like, rooting for McCall to free the villagers from this tyrant. And it's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And so the movie comes to an end. Robert does all this stuff, and he goes, and this is what I loved about the movie. This is my favorite part in the entire movie, because if you're an Equalizer fan, when you see this movie and you see the start of it, you're like, why is Robert just killing people? Because he doesn't work for anybody, right? That's his whole thing. He does what he wants to do when he wants to do it, especially if someone's been wronged. So at the end of the movie, he goes and meets Emma, who is in the hospital from the explosion. She's alive, and he brings her a bag of money, and he says, this is how much money is in here. I need you to go and take it to this person. He lives in the Bronx. And she's like, what? So the thing here, and this is a spoiler, turn it off now, okay? Go see the movie, turn it off now. But I love this scene. It's so damn good. And she's like, she goes, what is this money for? And he's like, this is for so-and-so who lost his pension because the dude who ran the villa stole the pension money to fund his organization. So when he went to find out why and how to equalize the pension money return, he found it pointed all towards this dude, and that's why he went there and killed him and stole the money off of him to give it back to the guy who was wronged. And she's like, there's no way. She's like, you unraveled this dude who could not be found over one person who was wronged by an unjust person. And he was like, yes. That is it. And then he just disappears, and she actually delivers the money to the guy, and it's a very happy ending. Like, it's freaking cool, man. I loved that ending because, like I said, if you're an Equalizer fan, it wraps it up so nicely because he equalized, you know? And guys, that's the whole movie right there. Like, go and see this film. I highly recommend you see it. It is worth it. I say go see it on the cheap night. Tuesday cheap night. Go with your friends. It's worth it. It's a very methodical paced movie, but it goes by quickly. The action sequences are great. You fall in love with the characters and the village. The village is beautiful, and it's just an enjoyable time. And I mean that. It's like, man, it was so good. It's a return to form. And honestly, I want an Equalizer 4. And I hope we get an Equalizer 4. I don't know if Denzel would want to come back to replay the character, but I look at this movie as an opportunity for a black James Bond / Jason Bourne type of character. Like, let's find the next black action superstar to play Robert McCall and like really bring this character up another notch. Like, Denzel's put a lot of work into this character in this franchise, and if he's ready to pass the baton on to somebody else to be a younger John McCall for 1, 2, 3, 4 more movies, let's do it. And I'm on board. I will be there day one. You give me Equalizer 4 with, like, I don't know, let me just throw a name out there, Michael B. Jordan as the new Robert McCall. Yes. Yes. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Or if we need an older actor for that role, Idris Elba would be a great Robert McCall. Michael J. White would be a great Robert McCall. Like, there's people out there that could do this role, and especially if we want to keep it as a very strong black character to go forward. That's what I'm saying. Give me a fourth one. Don't let this franchise die. Let's make it James Bond. Let's just keep going with it. You know what I'm saying? I will be there for every Equalizer. I don't care. I love it. Anyways, will I buy this for the collection? Yes, I will. I actually have to get Equalizer 1 and 2 still. I don't know why I don't have them, but I don't. But I'll get that rectified. And like I said, I honestly think you should see it. If you don't want to see it in the theater, get it when it comes out on digital or physical. You're going to enjoy yourself. Trust me on that. And on that note, that's it for me. That's the end of the review. I'm out of here. Whew. It's a day off for me, so that's a good thing. I don't have to go to work today, but I'm going to work tomorrow. And yeah, I was at the pool. I got a little swim in today. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got my swim hair in here. My eyes look really red because I had some chlorine in it. So I'm not doing any drugs. No. Anyways, the next movie I'm going to see is probably Gran Turismo. And I'm trying to see if I can fit Strays in, but I think it's going to be gone before I can get to it. My schedule is a little weird right now. So we'll see what we can get into. But Gran Turismo is for sure the next film. Anyways, on that note, I'm out of here. Whatever movie you guys are watching, I hope you're loving it and digging it. I'm out. Have a good time. Peace out, everyone. Bye.